Hi, and welcome back to another week with me. I, as always, look forward to meeting with you guys over video. Have you ever heard people say that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction? In between inventions and just other odd things that even happen in nature, the world's actually a pretty amazing place. So I actually spent a little bit of time putting together just some cool, awesome, crazy things that you may or may not have heard. So believe it or not, all of these things are actually true. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in. So dolphins, they are known to be one of the smartest animals on the planet. So a lot of people, I think, know that, right? People know that dolphins are not only super cool and friendly, they're extremely smart. But do you actually know why they are so smart? So they are able to do something that not us or many other animals can actually do in the animal kingdom. So dolphins are actually able to keep an eye out all the time, even when they're sleeping, okay? So researchers actually did some research, okay? They were talking about how dolphins are always aware of other predators. They're always on the lookout for somebody that's bigger than them and trying to get them, right? So they actually typically will have one eye open, and they always remain alert. They're able to actually store away some of their brain power to use during the evening. So researchers thought this was kind of crazy, right? They thought they must, be affected during the day. So they actually saw that it never actually affects them during the day. They're just as sharp and energetic as ever. I don't think that I could sleep with one eye open and still be ready to go the next day. I don't know any other animal that could. So, okay, moving on. In Florida, you can experience something really unique, okay? So it's held annually, and it's been held for decades. So it's been held every year, right, for decades. So there's actually an underwater music festival that you can go to. So they actually put on a huge show. So people will actually put on their scuba diving stuff and even their just diving equipment in general. And they will actually go underwater and play instruments, and they can actually hear what's going on. So I don't know about you, but I think these people must have a lot of muscle, okay? Because I know whenever I try to run through water, it's extremely hard. Imagine trying to play the drums with the resistance of water. So that's actually kind of cool. So I love my vacuum. One of the best things about my vacuum is that it's really lightweight. It's got a handle. I can take it pretty much wherever. So vacuums have been around for a long time. We don't actually realize how lucky we are because the first vacuum was so big, it had to be drawn by horse and buggy, okay? So what it would do is these people would bring this big vacuum from place to place, and it had all these different hose attachments. And what they would do is they'd put these big hoses through all of your front windows. And it was pretty amazing to people to see all the stuff that these vacuums could suck out. The only downside is the container was glass, so all of your neighbors and any onlookers could see all of the stuff that you're living in coming out of your house. So they actually had to make sure it was gas powered. It had a big gas powered motor that they had to pull the string to get it going. So it was actually a gas-powered vacuum cleaner. I'd imagine that'd actually be pretty stinky, so we're pretty fortunate to be able to plug it into the wall and not think twice about it. Okay, so in 2019, the Roosevelt Hotel. So the Roosevelt Hotel is actually in New Orleans. It actually celebrated its 125th anniversary. So the hotel's definitely been around for a long time. So the hotel decided they were going to host this contest, okay? So the winner of this contest would get a complimentary room, spa treatments, and a bunch of things included, like dinners and things. So the whole prize package was worth over $15,000, okay? So how do you win this thing, right? So they told people the prize was available to the person who returned the most outrageous item ever stolen from a hotel. So I think a lot of people are guilty from this. I think most people just take the little shampoo bottles. But the winner actually brought back like an ornate coffee pot that her grandmother had swiped years and years ago. So the winner of the contest, the $15,000 prize, returned a stolen coffee pot. So kind of a silly thing. I don't know that I would take the time to take a coffee pot. Especially nowadays, they're like mini and they only are good enough for maybe 1 cup, 2 if you're lucky. Maybe if you drink out of a small cup. All right. So now we're going back in history a little bit. This next one is about doctors in ancient Greece and Rome, okay? So medicine has definitely come a long way. We look at Pace and all the fancy gadgets we have. Nowadays, they have things to listen to your heart other than your ear. They got gadgets to take your temperature, all of those things. So bandages were actually hard to come by back then, right? So what they would actually do is doctors would go and they would collect spider webs. So spider webs, they actually have natural properties of healing. It has natural antiseptic and antifungal properties, right? So it's gonna ward off any of that bad bacteria that could cause infection. Not only that, it's naturally sticky. If you've ever ran into a spider web, you know it pretty much will stick to your face. You wipe it, and then it's stuck to your hand, right? So they found that using spider webs to close up wounds actually worked pretty well. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So it's also said that it's rich in vitamin K. So what vitamin K does is actually helps your blood to clot. So it's actually kind of an amazing natural bandage. So next time you're out of bandages, I suppose go up to the attic or the corner of the room and grab yourself a spider web. I personally am terrified of spiders, and I would probably just bleed instead. But hey, if you're in a crunch, it's good to know. So cousins is my next topic. Cousins are extremely important, especially to me. I very much value my cousins. So cousins whose parents that are identical twins, okay? So if your cousin and your aunt has an identical twin, say they're identical aunts, right? So your DNA is actually 25% the same. So most cousins only actually share about 12.5% of DNA with their family members, with their cousins, right? So kind of interesting, cousins born to sets of identical twins have, like I said, 25% of shared DNA. When you have a half sibling, which people will call them, you know, maybe the same dad, different mom, maybe, that would be considered a half sibling, you share 25% of your DNA with your half sibling. So if you have a cousin that was born to identical twin parents, guess what? Your cousin is almost kind of like your brother or your sister more than your cousin. Well, speaking DNA like, anyway. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. They could legally be, they're legally your cousins, but they pretty much are your half siblings. I think that this is kind of a cool thing, especially since a lot of people have very good relationships with their cousins. A lot of times very much brother and sister-like relationships. So that was one of the cooler things that I found that I thought was interesting. Okay, so moving on. So space is pretty cool, right? So Neil Armstrong. A lot of people know when I say Neil Armstrong who that is. So he was on the Apollo 11 along with his crew. So they knew that it was such a dangerous task going to space. They weren't sure what the outcome was going to be. So of course, everyone knew that they were going to space, right? So these insurance companies in the time didn't want to give out life policies because they knew there was a good chance they were probably going to have to pay out these life plan policies to these families, right? So nobody would give them any. So they came up with the plan that they were going to sit and they signed hundreds of autographs on papers and gave them to their family members. They thought, at the very least, their family members could sell off these autographs to get a little bit of money to help things out. So you can actually still find some of these autographed pieces of paper today. There was actually one that sold recently for $30,000. So I'm not exactly sure how many autographs, pieces of papers that they signed, but $30,000 a pop, that's pretty good. It's actually really clever too. I don't think I ever would have thought of anything like that. So, all right. So most parents, especially me, will do anything they can do to prevent kids from crying, right? Especially babies. Nobody wants to see their baby crying, and nobody wants to hear any whining, right? So that's actually not the case in Japan. So people in Japan, it's actually thought that if a sumo wrestler can make a baby cry, it's good luck. Not only is it good luck, it is an indicator that they're going to have a long and healthy life. So they actually have these festivals. They have these like special ceremonies where parents will actually stand in line and hand their baby over to sumo wrestlers. So these sumo wrestlers will throw them up in the air, will booga booga in their face, anything they can do to make these babies cry. So it sounds really crazy to me, and probably you too. But these parents, they're known to have, say that it's a great honor. And they're so glad that their babies were actually made to cry. So I don't think I would give my baby to a sumo wrestler, good luck or not. But some people, I suppose, really think it's good. So, okay, an actual research study was made by Guinness, okay? So Guinness is a big beer company, right? So this is kind of interesting to me, seeing as my husband actually has a beard. So that kind of will give you an idea of what we're going to talk about. So it's estimated that 1,062,719 pints of Irish stout go to waste every year via mustache and beard. That is a ton of pints. So think about it. A pint is pretty big, right? Almost 163,000 pints go to waste in people's mustaches and beards. So the study actually found that 0.56 milliliters gets trapped in the average beard or mustache every single time a sip is taken. So they estimate about 93,000 Guinness consumers every year actually have facial hair. So that's a lot of men, right? So assuming that they drink about 180 pints a year, the total cost of wasted Guinness, okay, in beards and mustaches is about $536,000 worth of beer lost in beards and mustaches. So, if you want your husband to shave your beard and maybe he's a beverage connoisseur, you can tell him, by shaving that mustache and beard, you'll actually save a little bit of money. In the end, it's smart, right? Kind of silly, kind of cool. All right. So New Mexico, they have their Department of Transportation. So they decided that they were going to spice up Route 66. So Route 66 is actually pretty famous, right? A lot of people know about Route 66. Even children, seeing as there was a Disney movie that came out a few years ago all about driving and slowing down life on Route 66. So what they actually did is they added grooves into this stretch of road. It's about 1/4 mile long. So these grooves actually play music when you drive over them. So if you drive over them at 45 miles per hour, it will actually play a song. So the grooves kind of work like rumble strips. So when you're on the highway and you start going to the next lane, you'll feel those are those rumble strips, right? So when you drive over them, the song you can hear is America the Beautiful. That's pretty amazing. I wonder who was the mastermind behind that, right? That's pretty cool. America the Beautiful, played by Route 66. Pretty awesome. So have you ever been scuba diving? how about extreme scuba diving? Let me tell you, this is a real thing. It's pretty amazing. So there was a 56-year-old free diver. Okay, he set a Guinness World Record. He was able to hold his breath for 24 minutes and 38 seconds. Okay, so oh my goodness, I don't think I could hold my breath for 30 seconds, let alone almost 25 whole minutes. That's insane. Not only did he hold his breath, he was diving down. So think about all the pressure pushing on his body. Holy moly, what a feat, right? Pretty awesome. All right, so we're gonna move more into a little bit about food. As Americans, we love food. Well, I love food anyway. So America definitely loves ice cream. So there was a dairy called Kemp's Dairy out of Wisconsin. They made a 3,010-pound ice cream scoop, part of their 100th anniversary celebration. Okay, so this thing stood 5'6". So if you remembered me and standing next to me, I am 5'6". This big scoop of ice cream was as big as me. Okay, so it took them. It was also 6.2 feet wide. Think about a 6-foot man. Lay him down, as tall as me and as big as a 6-foot man. That's how big this ice cream was. It took 733 containers of ice cream. And which flavor did they choose? Strawberry, of course. Everything's better pink. Well, according to my daughter, everything that's pink tastes just a little bit better. So speaking of the 4th of July, which is coming very soon, Americans eat a ton of hot dogs, especially on the 4th of July. So on the 4th of July, if you stretch from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles 5 times, that is how many hot dogs Americans eat on 4th of July alone. That's about 7 billion hot dogs eaten, on 4th of July. Or if you break it down into seconds, that's 818 hot dogs per second eaten on the 4th of July. That is a lot of hot dogs. And luckily we're from Michigan, so we probably eat a lot of Kogels, right? Us Michigan folks, we know about the Kogel hot dog. All right. So I got one more for you guys before I let you guys go. I know this was a whole bunch of kind of crazy information coming at you. So if you want to see the Eiffel Tower in all of its glory, okay, so you'd have to head to Paris in the summer, okay, because it actually grows in the summer. How can that be, right? Well, the Eiffel Tower itself doesn't grow, but its 1,062-foot monument is more than 6 inches taller in the heat. So what happens is the ground expands with the heat and actually rises it up just a little bit. So once the sun sets and the temperatures actually cool, it actually starts to sink back down. So pretty amazing. So thank you guys for joining me for another week. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found some of these cool and interesting fun facts. Just that, interesting, fun, and cool. And I look forward to meeting with you guys again. And until next time,